know me. I'm Anke. I'm a GP working in an NHS surgery in Waldorf. Can I sit there? That's on the way.
Sorry, come sit over here.
Thank you very much. So the talk today is about rest. When we talk about health and medicine, people always think about, healthy eating, get your blood pressure right, don't become diabetic, take your medication. Health is about doing things and having things applied to you. But there is one big health missing that's vital for our health, and that's what I would like to talk about today. Our modern life has become extremely hectic. We are multitasking, we are inundated by lots of inputs at work, social media, WhatsApp, Facebook and all these things, family life. We try to combine work and bringing up children and having social commitments. And things are getting more and more hectic, and the deadlines and more work for less and less people. And it really takes the toll on people. We are spinning around, we don't know when to stop, and on the weekend we are trying to catch up, either by sleeping more or sprucing up our social life over the weekend. And we are really not knowing how to slow down. And many of us are heading for burnout, when the body can just not sustain all the demands anymore. And actually a very high percentage of the illnesses we see, physical illnesses, mental problems, anxiety, stress, weight-related problems, heart disease, turn into physical problems that make people ill or even have serious problems, leading to the Nemo syndrome. Has anybody of you ever heard that?
No.
Well, do you know this little fish?
Yes.
The children. How's the little fish called? Nemo. Have you all seen the animated movie Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Yes. Children love clownfish, don't they? They look so beautiful and colorful. Well, not long ago, in a big hospital in the United States, a donor, somebody with a lot of money, wanted to buy something nice for the hospital. And on advice of some committee, he decided to purchase an aquarium for the entrance hall of the hospital, so that people, and particularly children coming into the hospital, had something lovely to look at and calming, and they would not be so nervous about going to a hospital. So this big aquarium went into the entrance hall, and they purchased clownfish. And as soon as children entered the hospital entrance hall, they made a beeline for the aquarium and shouted, "Oh, Mommy, look, Nemo!" It was very popular. There was only one problem. After about 1 week, all the fish died. Oh dear, that was not expected. So the staff purchased another batch of fish. The same happened again. A week later, all the fish were floating in the tank dead. So by now the staff called in somebody who was an aquarium expert to find out what was going on. And the expert examined the water quality and the temperature and the filtration system and the fish food and everything. But he couldn't find anything wrong. And then when he looked at the aquarium at the brightly lit entrance hall for a while, he said, "By the way, is it always so bright here? Do you switch the light off in the aquarium at night?" And the staff said, "No, this is a busy hospital, 24 hours a day, people are coming and going, the lights are always on." "Ah," said the fish specialist, "that's it then. If it doesn't go dark, the fish will not sleep, and that will kill them."
Right.
So the staff purchased yet more fish, but this time they made sure that the night staff would always switch off the light in the aquarium and that the lights in that part of the entrance hall were dimmed overnight. And guess what? The fish did not die prematurely anymore. And the children were very delighted that each time they came in, Nemo and his little friends were still swimming around. Well, guess what? Fish are not the only ones who can become victims of Nemo syndrome. Literally death by lack of rest. Rest is absolutely vital for our health. It's not just something we do when all the shops are closed and it's dark outside and we have got nothing else to do. Rest is vital to keep us healthy, to keep our brains and bodies good, and is important on different levels. Physical rest, of course, we get tired, we need to sleep, but also mental rest and spiritual rest. And if we ignore and neglect any of this, our physical health and our mental health will suffer quite badly. Okay, let's first look at sleep. Sleep is best for adults 7 to 8 hours. What happens during sleep? Well, in the past, doctors thought, well, at night you are just switched off, like an appliance you switch off, and that's it. You are not around, you're not talking, and then you wake up again. But research has shown that actually an awful lot is going on in the body while you are asleep. While the brain and the consciousness is more or less in silent mode, the body is very, very busy repairing itself. It repairs brain and nerve cells, house cleaning, detoxifying the brain. There is an increased protein production, the repair of skin and muscles due to exercise and injury during the day. We all know the word beauty sleep. Yeah, your skin goes bad if you don't sleep well. But also by doing housekeeping in the brain, there is a stabilization of emotions and mood. If you have got sleep deprivation, your moods are all over the place. Interestingly, the immune system also goes into overdrive when we are sleeping. And growth happens while we are sleeping. Children grow while they sleep. Did you know that? So children who never sleep properly might end up short. Indeed. Now, what happens while we are sleeping? We are not actually just out, but the brain cycles through various phases of lighter and deeper sleep. So over the ideal 7 to 8 hours, in the first few hours we reach the stage for deep sleep phases, where there is a lot of physical repair going on, our muscles, our skin, our immune system. As the hours progress, we don't sleep so deeply anymore, but we get more and longer dream phases. Now, dreams have always been associated with what, messages from the gods or whatever, but it is thought today that the brain just cobbles together various images trying to make sense of random inputs. And you will all have woken up sometime and thought, my goodness, how did I dream that nonsense together? What is going on in my head that I'm having dreams like that? So don't worry, there's not much wrong with you. So eventually, after one of the dream phases, we will wake up. Normally, we forget all the dreams by the time we have woken up. Only when we wake up during a dream, we can actually remember it. So remember, the first few hours of deep sleep are the most important ones for regeneration, for physical regeneration. The last few hours do the psychological stabilization. So if we always shortchange ourselves for sleep, our body is actually suffering for it. The problem is, of course, with modern life, you have got so many things to do. You come home from work, there is the family, there is the supper, there is TV, schoolwork for the children, and you want to catch up with things and social media. And of course, restlessness, sleeping problems. 1/3 of all adults don't get enough sleep. And we see the consequences in medicine left, right, and center. There are various reasons to blame for. So lifestyle, of course, caffeine is a pharmacoactive substance that can keep you awake. Alcohol is often used to make yourself fall asleep. The problem is you don't stay asleep. Yeah? Waking up during the night is and sleeping problems are associated with alcohol abuse. Stress keeps us awake. Stress and anxiety are major contributors to sleeplessness. Overwork, if you look at a brightly lit screen, still 5 minutes before going to bed, the bright light from the computer screens makes our brains think it's bright day and we are in day mode and we might not sleep well. Shift work, all the nurses and shift workers here, we all know shift work is very bad for us because it messes our biorhythm up. And many people just can't just switch off and sleep because they have been on night shift or day shift or late shift or whatever. Jet lag, traveling, you will have experienced how completely that plays havoc with your sleeping. If you have young children, they need to be fed, they play up in the middle of the night, late meals. So there are lots of things in our lifestyle that are affecting our sleep. The wrong environment is also bad. Light, noise, a snoring partner, if it's too hot. Many people benefit from wearing a little mask while they are sleeping, really, because light signals the brain that it's daylight and we should get up. Because most of our existence, we were awake during the day when there was light, and at night, fireplace or bed or sleep, that was the only thing we could do. So light is a stimulant for us, and whether it's electric light or daylight when we try to sleep after a night shift, it interferes with our sleep. Medical conditions, pain, cough, sleep apnea, linked to snoring and overweight, when people never go into the deep sleep phases. Very difficult to stay healthy with that. So, what happens when we are sleep deprived? Well, you may all know the obvious things: grogginess, fatigue, you're not really getting on at work, your efficiency is going down, you are irritable, you've got a bad mood, motivation is low, you just want to flake out on the sofa and doze off, your memory is poor, your judgment is poor, and the concentration, impaired decision making, never make important decisions when you are sleep deprived. Also decisions like, should I overtake that car on the motorway or not? Because your mental sharpness and your acumen is impaired. Reduced awareness of danger, sleepwalking into whatever situation. Dozing off and micro-sleep, which can be a problem when the boss catches you napping at work at night, but in cars that might be a quite different problem. Children, interestingly, often do the opposite. They really speed up. When you've got a toddler that is really hyper, running around, screaming, having temper tantrums, that is often because there is sleep deprivation. So they do not need to be taken out for a nice long walk. They might need to be put to bed because they are overtired. Naughty children are often irritable because they are sleep deprived. So, if you are misjudging or ignoring the warning signs, what happens if you are chronically sleep deprived? It affects your brain. Learning problems, forgetfulness, in the elderly, an increased risk of dementia. You get a decreased resistance to infections. Remember, your immune system is extra active while you are sleeping. Relationship problems, grumpy, irritable, overworked partners are not making lovely spouses. If you are awake for too long, one of your hormones that regulates your appetite, ghrelin, is increased. So if you feel that you need to wait the fridge at midnight, that is why people with sleep deprivation are putting on weight. You are more hungry if you are not sleeping enough. Your skin ages prematurely if you don't get your beauty sleep. There is a close documented link between sleep deprivation and an increased risk of diabetes, cancer, stroke, and heart disease. And your risk of dying prematurely doubles. This is big stuff. This is like smoking. You know, it's a major, major risk factor, and nobody talks about it. The doctor always goes on about your blood pressure and your cholesterol, and are you taking your tablets? If you don't sleep, this is something we do not ask questions enough about, and we do not address as much as, oh, you shouldn't drink alcohol and you shouldn't smoke. Well, are you sleeping enough? It has got an effect just as bad on your health. And that is something you might have more influence over. And if you do not address it and ignore it, it might actually kill you faster than you thought. If you are severely sleep deprived, your brain is in the same state as if you were drunk. You are slow, you're not really seeing the problem, you know. Yeah, you can do this, no problem. I just get in the car and drive home. You know, if somebody staggered out of the pub with a car key in the hand, you would say, right here, car key off, taxi, you know, no way, you are driving. If somebody comes out of the pub and says, oh, I had a coffee here, I just drive an hour on the motorway to London. Yeah, do you say, hang on a minute, you are probably not fit for driving? You know? Micro sleeps, it happens so quickly. If it happens at high speed, that's the difference between life and death. Then actually it has been found out that 42% of all serious road traffic accidents that caused mass crashes and dead people were caused by sleep deprivation, particularly people nodding off while driving on the motorway. You know, if you crash at high speed, you do not just kill yourself and the people in the car, but people around you. And it has been found when severe industrial accidents were investigated. For example, the Chernobyl accident, the 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor accident, the Exxon Valdez oil tanker that crashed in Alaska and caused a major catastrophe. All these accidents happened on night shifts. When people who made decisions were overtired, out of their normal biorhythm, didn't interpret warning signs correctly, did the wrong things that actually made it worse than better, didn't call for backup early enough because they thought they could handle it. Yeah? Sleep deprivation is linked to major disaster in personal lives, but also in industrial accidents. It's a problem that has been well investigated in occupational health and things like that. So, now as we know how bad that all is, what can we actually do to get a good night's sleep? How can we make ourselves sleep better? So, good sleep hygiene is always the first thing a good doctor should talk about before handing out the sleeping pills. Sleeping pills, by the way, zonk you out and make you unconscious, but they're not giving you a good quality sleep. So it's not a good long-term solution. So good sleep hygiene means try to have regular sleeping patterns. We are creatures of habit, and the brain gets used to same time waking up, same time going to bed. That is actually the best and healthiest way of doing. I understand in modern life, we all have to go to work and get the money to pay our mortgage. And a lot of us are working in jobs where, you can't switch sick people off at night. Somebody needs to be there and look after them. Good regular sleeping patterns are the healthiest ones. Try to keep your bedroom dark and cool. If you overheat, you can't sleep well. Light keeps you awake. Stale air is bad. So a bit of open window and fresh oxygen is helpful. Try to get out at least 1 hour every day, because daylight helps to reset your internal clock. We have got a bio clock running in our brain that always regulates our wake and sleeping patterns, but that is actually slightly out of sync with 24 hours. And bright sunlight, daylight, resets our clock to make it go synchronized with the natural 24 hours again. So if we always live in an artificial environment with artificial light, our 24 hours will shift every 25, 26 hours out of the natural cycle. Yeah? So daylight, try to get 1 hour outdoors every day. Physical activity goes a long way to make us more tired in the evening, fall asleep faster, sleep better, sleep an hour longer. Yeah, and you just need 30 minutes 4 times a day. Brisk walking, gardening, some sort of brisk activity, and you will sleep better. Preferably outdoors, then you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Be aware of the effects of caffeine, alcohol, stimulants. They are having an effect on our brain. They interact with our sleeping. Arguments before bedtime with a partner. You're not going to sleep peacefully 10 minutes later, obviously, when our stress levels are up to here. And you think about, kicking him out and he can sleep on the sofa. It's not helping with a good rest. So try to have a peaceful environment. Extra fluid in the evening is not helping. So people who drink a big mug of cocoa or Horlicks before going to bed, what goes in will come out again. Yeah? So if you have got problems with toilet trips at night, try to restrict your fluid intake from about 6 o'clock on. Yeah? Drink lots in the first half of the day, but restrict fluid intake in the last few hours before bedtime, and then you don't have to traipse to the loo so often. Try to get 20 minutes of relaxation before going to bed. Reading something nice, some soft music. Don't watch, an exciting thriller, Mission Impossible Part 4, and then you're all hyped up and you can't relax. So something nice and soothing. It has also been found that dropping your body core temperature is triggering of sleep. Now, how do we achieve that? How do you drop your body core temperature? Well, you can trigger it off by first taking a nice hot bath, and then when you get out of the bath, the body downregulates, the body temperature drops quickly, and that triggers off tiredness and sleep. So the famous warm bath an hour before going to bed makes you sleep like a baby. If you throw a handful of Epsom salt in the bath, you sleep even better. So if you have your little rituals, calming down, not overloading with anything, leave any caffeine off after 3 p.m., not too much fluid after 6, a nice, quiet, peaceful end of the day. Christians might want to do a little evening devotional or something, just to calm down, and then you get a better sleep. So, yeah, good sleep is important, but what about the day? The days are full on, too much activity. What are we all doing during the day? What are we doing nowadays? Especially women often fall into the trap of thinking that they can have everything and they have to do everything and they have to make sure their children do everything as well. Yeah? The perfect career, the perfect marriage, nice children, vacations, driving a good car. The kids need to go to rugby, to football, to ballet classes, to piano lessons. And then you wonder why the whole family is frazzled and unhappy and anxious and depressed, and there is no time really to slow down and concentrate on the important things. Social media, how many people are on their phones until 3 o'clock in the morning, on Facebook and things like that. The problem nowadays is that we have too many offers and we are tempted to participate in too many things that frazzle us. And it's not helping with rest and relaxation. So it is important that we identify what is important to us and what is not. And then being quite ruthless in eliminating the things that we have decided are not important. And that can sometimes include things like, no, I'm not doing Facebook anymore, or I can do 1 social media but not 3. And that friend who always tries to get me into the pub and drinking, he is not doing me much good. And the other friend offers me drugs. I don't want to have anything to do with that. These friends need to go. I need to concentrate on the people that are good for me and the things that are good for me. And I choose the 3, 4 important things and do them properly, and not 15 things, skipping from one to the other. Overcommitment causes stress, and stress is interfering with rest. There are little things like breathing exercises that help us to relax, the diaphragm down and up, and things that helps to calm down the body. Laughter, interestingly, has a very relaxing effect. So make sure you surround yourself with people who are cheerful, and you can read funny stories or watch the occasional comedy or things. The really good belly laughter is very good for your health and is relaxing. And if you get the chance, do take a holiday. Step back from things, go somewhere else, just to reset yourself. So mental rest by not overloading ourselves during the day. There is a third dimension to rest, which I just quickly want to touch on, and that is spiritual rest. Spirituality is not very high on the agenda of many people in Western countries. We are sort of post-religious. We don't need all that. Religion is for the backwards Muslims and the very arch-conservative Catholics, and the rest of us is more or less secular in society. But that has actually not done much good to our society. We get greatly energized when we stick to a weekly day of rest. And interestingly, all great religions promote the idea of 1 day of rest per week. The Jews always had the seventh day, the Sabbath. Shabbat means rest. The Muslims have got the Friday where they go to mosque and concentrate on God. Christians go either on Sunday, or like us on Saturdays. Even Buddhists have got a day of rest, but on different days. There is a biorhythm with this weekly cycle. At some stage, humans have tried to change that. For example, during the French Revolution, you will remember, the revolutionaries executed all those French noblemen, guillotine, chop heads off, and the king and the queen as well. But they did not just hate the nobility, they also hated the church. And this is why the revolutionaries decided to abolish the 7 days week and introduce a 10 days week, just to make their mark. And guess what? It went very, very badly. Chaos ensued, not just because all the other countries around them had a 7 days week, and trade relations were all over the place because they were all out of sync. But interestingly, the mental asylums started to fill up and spill over with people who decompensated and couldn't switch off anymore and developed mental illness. So when the revolutionaries got thrown out, of course, France went back to the 7 days week. Another similar episode was during the Second World War here in England, when suddenly, under the pressure of war, the government decided we needed a 74 hours week, and weekends were basically abolished. Guess what? Just after a very short period of time, it was clear that people couldn't keep up the pace. The productivity went down so much, that it was just not worth it, and people became ill. So the government then reset and said, okay, 6 weeks, you have to really beaver and make the effort for the war, but everybody gets 1 day of rest. And productivity went up by 15%, just by reintroducing 1 day of rest every 7 days. So this sort of thing has been observed again and again. So from the scientific, but most importantly from the religious aspect, keeping 1 day a week as a day of rest, 24 hours for reflection, for worship, meditation, prayer, devotional, focus on spiritual values, things beyond, the next Facebook post, but more important things, eternal things. Connecting with others, your family, your friends, your church members. Connecting with nature. On the Sabbath afternoon, many people go out and have a nice long walk in the forest or in the park, just to reconnect and to refocus. And it provides rest for body, mind, and soul. And this helps us to keep physically and mentally and spiritually healthy. Rest as a vital part of our health that must not be neglected. So thank you for your attention. And remember, Jesus said, "Come to me all, you are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest."
Amen.
The spiritual aspect of rest must never be ignored because it is central to our well-being. We ignore that at our own peril. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.